On January 24, 1989, one of America's most notorious killers took his final steps. The prison was surrounded by thousands of people. Some celebrated, some prayed, others simply wanted to witness the end of a nightmare that had haunted America for more than a decade. As the execution drew closer, chants echoed outside the prison walls. Burn, Bundy, burn. But just a few years earlier, almost nobody believed he was capable of murder. He wasn't hiding in abandoned buildings. He wasn't living off the grid. He wasn't the monster people imagined. He was intelligent, well-spoken, handsome. He volunteered for political campaigns, studied law, and easily earned people's trust, which is exactly what made him so dangerous. This isn't just a retelling of his horrific crimes. This is an elite deep dive into the official legal logs, declassified investigative archives, and the pure, unadulterated arrogance of a killer who genuinely believed he was smarter than the entire American justice system. When he finally faced the ultimate trial in Florida, he did something unprecedented. He rejected standard legal counsel and took over his own defense. The courtroom instantly transformed from a place of solemn justice into a televised media theater, with a serial killer cross-examining his own victims' investigators. Welcome back to the Final Docket. Today we crack open the master legal files of history's most manipulative defendant, Theodore Robert Bundy. In 1974, young women across Washington state began disappearing. Most were students, many vanished in broad daylight. Witnesses remembered seeing a polite young man with his arm in a sling. He would ask for help carrying books or loading a sailboat. It sounded harmless, and that's exactly why it worked. By the time investigators realized the disappearances might be connected, several victims were already dead. Police had almost nothing. Different crime scenes, few witnesses. No obvious suspect, but one description kept returning. His name was Ted. By 1975, the polished mask had completely slipped. A routine traffic stop by Utah Highway Patrol uncovered a deeply disturbing toolkit hidden inside a Volkswagen Beetle. Handcuffs, a ski mask, trash bags, and an ice pick. The physical evidence was mounting, but what truly sets this file apart is how Bundy didn't just challenge the legal system. He physically broke through its walls. Twice. During his first major custody phase in Aspen, Colorado, he utilized his status as his own legal counsel to gain unsupervised access to the courthouse law library. While the guards took a smoke break, the law student made a decisive move, leaping directly out of a second-story window and vanishing into the mountains for 6 days. Months later, after being recaptured, he struck again from inside a maximum security jail cell. Having starved himself down to lose over 20 pounds, Bundy quietly climbed through a tiny 12-inch hole cut around his cell's ceiling light fixture, crawled through the crawl space, and escaped into the night. But his final run would lead him straight to the state of Florida and right into the crosshairs of the ultimate penalty. On the morning of February 9, 1978, the small town of Lake City, Florida, changed forever. 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, a junior high school student, realized she had forgotten her sports purse in her homeroom class. She walked out of the main building to retrieve it and never came back. Witnesses later recalled seeing a frantic, disheveled man driving a white, stolen Dodge van lurking near the school campus that morning. By the time her family and police realized she was missing, a massive task force deployed across the state, but the trail went cold. Just 6 days later, on February 15, 1978, a Pensacola police officer spotted a stolen vehicle acting suspiciously. After a violent, desperate foot chase and struggle, the driver was finally wrestled to the ground and handcuffed. The police didn't realize it yet, but they hadn't just caught a local car thief. They had just arrested Theodore Robert Bundy, bringing an end to his cross-country reign of terror and setting off the final highest-stakes legal showdown in Florida history. Bundy's courtroom theatrics eventually shattered under the weight of undeniable physical data. His first Florida trial, the prosecution presented forensic bite mark impressions that definitively tied him to the Chi Omega sorority house attacks. But prosecutors weren't taking any chances with a master manipulator. To ensure Bundy would never walk free, the state launched a second, separate capital trial for his final and most devastating crime, the abduction and murder of 12-year-old Kimberly Leach from her junior high school in Lake City. This second trial stripped away any remaining public sympathy. This wasn't a charismatic law student outsmarting police. It was a monster targeting a child, armed with eyewitness testimony and distinct clothing fiber evidence matching a stolen van he operated. The state secured its second absolute verdict: death. The tragic file of Kimberly Leach was the definitive case that sealed his execution. For most true crime profiles, the story ends at the verdict. But on death row at Rayford Prison, a completely different psychological chess match began. Bundy spent nearly a decade filing frantic, highly calculated appeals, attempting to weaponize his knowledge of the law to outrun the calendar. As his final death warrant was signed, the system instituted the strict death watch protocol. Bundy was moved to a designated cell directly adjacent to the execution chamber. He was kept under 24-hour observation beneath blinding industrial lights to ensure he couldn't attempt a third escape. The supreme arrogance completely dissolved. The man who had spent years smiling at news cameras began to visibly fracture. In a desperate final bid to buy more time from the state, Bundy suddenly began confessing to cold cases he had vehemently denied for over 10 years, attempting to make himself too valuable to execute. But the clock had run out. On his final morning, January 24, 1989, Bundy declined to select a custom last meal. By default, prison staff served him the traditional final menu: a medium-rare steak, eggs over easy, hash browns, toast with butter and jelly, milk and juice. He didn't eat a single bite. On the morning of January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in Florida. Outside the prison, crowds celebrated. For many, justice had finally arrived, but justice could never erase the pain left behind. Dozens of families would spend the rest of their lives mourning daughters, sisters, classmates, and friends who never came home. Ted Bundy became one of history's most infamous serial killers, not because he looked like a monster, but because he didn't. His greatest weapon wasn't strength, it was trust. And that may be the most frightening lesson this case leaves behind. Because sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who seem the safest. If you want to keep exploring the unedited archives, declassified cases, and historical trial logs that shook the world, make sure to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment on which file we should open next, and turn on notifications for weekly case drops.